So let's talk about the incident management process. First of all, you need to know it's a continual process. We do have a starting point and an ending point, but it just keeps cycling. We first start off with coming up with a way of handling and reacting to events. We don't run around, the internet's down, the internet's down. How are we going to handle events? What's the reaction? Well, that could be based off of prioritization. We also need to look at the detection and examination of those issues. That's then typically followed by sorting and ranking. There's that prioritization. After we've done that, we're going to notify. And I don't care how much it hurts, especially if it's your company and it's affecting the bottom line of the company. You have to notify people. Oh man, especially if it comes to some type of compliance or if it's an issue that is a federal crime. After notification, containment. That's when we don't try to contain right away. Sometimes doing that, trying to do containment first, makes it so that the examination and detection phase gets skipped. Let me give you an example. I had my own ISP service out in the community that I live in. We didn't have high-speed internet out here, so I fired up my own ISP service. It was wireless. And one day I had a customer call up and say, hey, Dale, this is garbage. I'm not getting good speeds. And I looked at his antenna, and he'd been pulling down, and this is going to age me a bit here, but this is back when 512K was broadband. Yeah, we had internet back then. Anyway, I said, Sean, dude, you've been pulling down 512K solid for the past 20 hours. And he said, well, I'm not going anywhere. I can't get anywhere. I don't know what's going on. Just so happened that a friend of mine who's a white hat for Microsoft, his name's Mark Burnett. He's written several books. He specializes in IIS servers. Anyway, he happened to be there with me. And we started looking at the packets going across. We didn't try to contain it right away. I was like, man, we got to block this, whatever's going on. He goes, no. We need to see what's happening here so that we can figure out and come up with a solution. Long story short, we went out to the customer's house, and he'd plugged the antenna, the wireless antenna, directly into his computer without going through a router. And after doing some research, we found that an IP address out of Germany had put inside of his recycle bin, and he'd buried it several layers deep inside the recycle bin, a FTP site. And he was acting as an FTP server for a pirated movie site. And this, again, will age it. The movies he had up and running or they had put up there and everybody was downloading from him was Charlie's Angels and Lord of the Rings 2. So after I got my copies of it, we then – ooh. No, I'm kidding. But we were able to, before we contained it, we figured out what was causing the problem. Then we go back, do the forensic examination, trying to figure out, okay, how did they make their way in? Well, it was pretty obvious at that point what had happened. We then purge and recover, or back up the movie and recover. No. By purging and coming up with a recovery, sometimes we have to recover data that's been lost. We then go through and write down and document our post-incident actions. There should be some documentation in play because guess what? Someday you may not be there or you may be on vacation and I don't want to be bugged about it. When I'm on vacation, there needs to be some documentation so that people know what to do the next time it happens.